So the way the minisode worked last time, we instead of going through scene by scene, we just sort of talked about everybody's storyline, which got us through it faster. So I made little notes. And we ended with Ian and Mickey's storyline just to keep things exciting.
Yeah, you gotta wait till the end, especially because that's probably the one we'll go most in depth on.
So hello everybody, welcome back to the Luck We Had, a Shameless Recap podcast, the minisode this time.
Welcome back, everyone.
My name is Amanda, I'm one of your hosts.
I'm Evan, I'm your co-host, and today we have a special guest, a returning guest star.
I'm back.
It's Lena, our first guest on a minisode, but our recurring guest that we will be bringing back. In fact, we'll be bringing back in episode 207, the next episode, full-length episode that will be going up.
Woohoo!
We are recording this at 10:23 on Saturday night on December 19th, so an hour and a half before 10:03 drops. We're super delayed in this, but we're gonna, not 10:03, 11:03. Wow.
It's okay. Everyone got brain jumbles.
But then we're gonna watch 11:03 and yell at each other in the group chat about it.
As we should.
And we're sorry this is late. You know, fucking life happens. Sometimes your store gets robbed.
We got a lot going on.
Evan and I both work at a coffee chain that rhymes with
Plarnux.
Yeah.
And sometimes people come in with guns and try to take your money without realizing that I don't know a single human being that pays for Starbucks with cash.
Is that what happened to you? You got robbed?
We didn't get robbed. It was attempted robbery. But he did threaten us with a gun and was like, give us all your money, put all the money in the bag. And we were like, no.
But Evan got home alive. Everybody is good. Plarnux.
Right, we're safe. Everyone's okay.
And we're going to talk about season 11. God, I did this last time and I had to edit it badly. We're going to talk about season 11, episode 2, the first good episode of season 11.
It was so good.
I said it, I meant it. 11:01 was garbage. But 11:02, I made like 7 posts about it. I couldn't stop smiling. I stayed up until 3 a.m. I was like, that was a great episode. What do I do with this?
It was a really good episode.
It was like unexpected. I was like pleasantly surprised because, I mean, over the years, I've become so accustomed to disappointment that because it was like a decent episode, I was like, okay, I'm actually kind of feeling this.
Yeah, they're like, uh-oh, what's gonna happen the rest of the season if it's only the second episode and they have a good...
But yeah, that's the trick of being satisfied with season 11 of Shameless. Lower your bar to the floor. And then when they step over it, you will be shocked and in amazement.
Well, we talked about this earlier, but I just want to bring it up like while we're recording. The tonal shift in Shameless, I would say probably happened around like season 6 actually, because I remember there being some pretty dramatic moments in season 6.
Well,
so, like,
season 4
the start of season
is
7.
when they changed their classification from drama to comedy. Season fucking 4.
But they didn't actually get to be, well, because season 4 was probably one of the most dramatic seasons.
And
that
followed by
think
season
of.
5, the second most dramatic season.
Yeah, well, so I think, but like as somebody who has seen like every season, I think that like multiple times, I think that the shift really did happen around like season 6 and like started with season 7 where they kind of moved into this like almost slapsticky kind of comedy.
I forget the premise, what was going on in season 7? Was that a summer season, right? Was that Fiona and the apartment building?
That's when all of that kind of started. I think that's when she like fully took control of Patsy's. It was right after she was supposed to get married to Sean and Frank showed up at the wedding and they pushed him in the water.
Also, sorry, that's so ahead of what like these seasons,
Well,
but that
no,
scene
I
with
mean-
the water is so good.
It's so the first scene of season 7 is like very well shot, very beautiful.
Sorry,
Anyway,
off track.
that's like past the point. I just think that like they did it for Emmy nominations that never came.
Yeah, they switched to comedy in season 4 because they did not want to compete against Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones for drama Emmys. And it doesn't matter if you are classified as a comedy when your show is a drama. When Cameron Monaghan is putting out the performance that he is putting in season 4, when Noel Fisher is putting out the performance that he is putting in season 4, it is unbelievable that they were classified as a comedy because Cameron and Noel were putting in the fucking work that season, and they deserved Emmys
and
for
not
it.
to mention like later seasons with Fiona and especially Jeremy. Like Jeremy,
The
during
Coke
the whole
storyline?
lip,
They put on
The
such
whole
good
AA.
performances.
the whole AA thing with him in season 6 when he like got kicked out of college. Like if you
That scene, wait, hold on. That scene in season 4, after Fiona accidentally gives Liam coke and is back and is in the kitchen with Jeremy Allen White. Emmy Rossum and Jeremy
And
Allen
they're
White.
yelling.
I think about that scene every goddamn day of my
It
life.
was so good.
And that is when the show was classified as a comedy. Are you kidding me?
It's just like, to me, it feels so cheap because it's like, if you really think, I like, okay, they did that because they didn't want to compete because they thought that they wouldn't win. But I'm like, if you have enough faith in the quality of your show and you think it's good, you would compete anyway.
Exactly.
And it's like the nominations and the praise will come if you're good. I think it was just like a cheap cop out, honestly.
Absolutely, I believe that.
Yeah, because like what the performances like each of them individuals like gave, if they would have continued as that like under what was it, a drama, or what was that, what it was?
Drama.
A drama, like later seasons there's so many other good scenes that they honestly could have potentially gotten them nominated if they stayed within that.
Yeah.
And like it's not saying that like they can't be a drama and make fucking jokes, because of course they're gonna need jokes.
Because that's what they did.
Because
for the
that's
first
what they are.
3
Like,
seasons.
there's nothing wrong with still being able to crack jokes, but then when you only signify it as a comedy and you go into it and then you see all these fucking like insane like actors, like all of these things, and then it's comedy, haha. Like, we are lucky when we laugh during a Shameless episode, and we're supposed to call it a comedy.
But all of this previous season talk discussion to say that 1102 was a pleasant surprise for us. And let us discuss why, shall we?
All right.
The Kevin V storyline, which was also secretly the Frank storyline. Holy shit, I was interested the whole time.
That's also like a storyline that they definitely did in an earlier season. Like, it almost feels a little bit like they're recycling it, but it's also for a new era because they're like incorporating the pandemic, and also the laws around the legality of weed in Chicago have changed.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So,
it's a little bit recycling the ice cream truck weed thing in season 2. Like, yeah.
but that was because they used to sell it illegally on the down low, and now it's legal, and they kind of have to navigate that market. And they're playing into the whole gentrification thing, which they've been playing into since season 5. But like, it kind of works.
I have never remembered once in my life being this interested in a Frank storyline. But I was like invested, and I was very into it. And I like really enjoyed the way that Frank worked with Kevin V with this.
I think I was interested because it was Kevin V and they got a lot of screen time, so I was excited to actually see that. But no, I agree with you. I really enjoyed like
oh, Shanola.
I enjoyed like Frank not just being an asshole. Well, at the end he ends up being an asshole about it, but like it was really cool.
But it was kind of fun.
But it was really fun, and like I really enjoyed it, and like it was really cool because like normally when you see like Kevin V interact with Frank, it's normally just yelling at him behind the bar, but like we got to do like more stuff, and we got to do more like in-depth scenarios. And also those bitches in their mask, pull it over your nose before I clock them across the head.
I
It's
still
like,
will say Shameless is doing masks better than most shows on television are currently doing masks.
As in exactly how their characters would wear them, and I 100% respect that,
that's
but
the
of
thing,
course
is it's like-
it's angry pandemic time. I don't want any more people being sick.
it's like, I just know Mickey would be one of those people who's like, I'm not going to wear a mask over my nose.
Well, he does.
Or in general, like, I'm not going to wear a
Wait,
mask.
let's talk about the interview later. But like
Like,
what they do really
well, and
realistically.
like Debbie does it too. And the whole thing with, it was like, one thing I thought was like a scene that I thought was really weird was when Tammy and Sandy and Debbie were at the dollar
I
store.
loved that scene.
And it was a cute scene, but the one thing I noticed was they are in public at the dollar store. Not a single one of them is wearing a mask. Tammy wears it for a second and then takes it off to get on the phone with Liv.
See, what I have about that is Sandy has hers like around her chin, which like don't do this in an actual dollar store. Sandy has hers around her chin, and Tammy like has hers on.
Debbie
not
like
even
straight
wearing
up doesn't even have one on her. Like, she's like walking around the store, and I'm like, girl.
Enough.
And then everyone around them's like staring at them because of course like they're not wearing their mask. I think like Franny was the only one with her mask remotely on correctly, but it still was like hanging off her nose.
And that's probably honestly because the mom was like, she's not taking the mask off unless she fucking has to.
Well, yeah, I mean, the mask like fitting improperly is probably just because she's a kid and it's like hard to find masks that fit right for like small children. But
It makes the most sense.
oh my gosh, like that scene kind of pissed me off. But
I
I won't
loved that
lie.
scene though. It was so cute.
Well, just that part, but like that just because it really annoyed me that they were like taking their masks off to like say words of dialogue. And it's like if I don't know if they're like in a public place because like Ian when he's working in the warehouse doesn't do that.
Just for the record, I think that Tammy and Sandy, I love in-laws. I love in-laws.
No,
I
I
like-
love that. I love that Sandy and
Tammy-
Tammy are
Tammy-
Amy is kind of serving this season, I'm not gonna lie. Like last season I was so annoyed with her the entire time. And also like even like the seasons before, like season 9, I was like, ugh, this bitch. But like maybe it's the internalized misogyny, but
And before we jump into like everybody else's individual storyline, that family scene in the kitchen in the beginning was just, it was season 1 energy.
There were so many people in the kitchen. It made me so happy.
When Mickey was like, "Oh no, I don't need you discussing his dick," and Tammy was like,
everyone was like,
"Ooh."
ooh.
It was so good. It was so nice.
I just think it's like I think the pandemic has been like a silver lining for them, like narratively, because it gives them a reason to have all of the kids together in scenes. Because it's like logically, they're like, oh, everybody's an adult. They should all be off doing their own things, like running their own lives. And like that's how it's been working the last couple seasons, and it hasn't been working.
Yeah.
Like it's boring to watch because the whole thing that made the show charming in the first place was the family dynamic.
Yeah.
And so now that everybody's back together, it's like, yes, yes.
Speaking of boring to watch, Carl's storyline. Also, improperly wearing masks, but accurate representation of cops because cops don't fucking wear masks.
Yeah, the cops in my hometown are not required to wear masks, but
Which
the
is
police chief,
insane to me.
the police chief in our area has asked that if they go into a public place like a store that they put one on, but they don't have to. They're not required to, which I feel like is kind of dumb. But
I believe like the Carl storyline and the way they're handling it so far is the single shittiest thing that Shameless has ever done. Because what I was reading from 1102 was let's do Black Lives Matter, but you know, from the perspective of the cop. That's what I was getting from that.
I don't think they really touched on Black Lives Matter much in that episode. I mean, obviously they had Liam wearing his mask that said Black Lives Matter, and they had the guy, I can't remember if this was episode 1, I think it was, the guy at the paint store also had a Black Lives Matter mask.
Yeah, that
But-
was episode 1.
I feel like they're gonna touch on it later, and I feel like they're gonna do you remember how Carl had his little moment in season 6 where he was like doing the whole drug thing with Nick, and then Nick killed somebody, like a little boy, and he had his whole like I'm woke moment.
Yeah.
I feel like they're gonna do that same thing with the cops. Like I feel like they're gonna have Carl witness an act of police brutality or something.
And
In
Ooh.
terms of like this episode, I just really think it's just set the cops up as like shitty because they're not doing
The one cop we were given that Carl interacts with the most is just kind of ignore all the calls, take a fake lunch, like ignore, just drive around, like do all the easy, simple stuff, and then like you see the
Yeah.
other cops who are like taking everyone out on the field and like fucking them up. So
well, so they're showing the two like extremes.
yeah,
the two extremes
like
of
when you normally like
policing.
I was anticipating like he was gonna get like a officer or whatever who was like not by the book but like went into everything and like fucked things up and like did things not by the rules and all that stuff, but we're getting it not from more the aggressive side but more of the lazy doesn't do anything side, which I think
Like when people need help. Yeah, and so I think they're gonna have a scene or a moment or something with Carl where he like kind of I mean I don't think they'll say it. I don't think they'll say it outright, but they'll show the bigger
Sure.
picture.
you know what I think. I feel like they talk about. I feel like they've mentioned the concept of like shooting them in the back like a lot. Like I feel
Yeah,
like
they
they've
have
been
at
they've been
least
saying
twice.
that like a handful of times across these last 2 episodes. So I feel like it's gonna be a scenario where like he catches someone or like is fine, and then like they might shoot him, and he's like, "Dude, like I got him, like whatever." And then yeah, I never thought about that. That's I feel like they definitely are gonna do something along those lines.
But let's not pretend the writers remember a single word that they've ever put on that page. Let's not.
That's true. I don't have a lot of faith in them. It's just if I was a writer, that's where I would go.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think like a writer, but Shameless has been known to make some pretty not logical decisions.
Yeah. So like the Carl storyline, I think is so far bad. It was my least favorite part of
The
the
way it
episode, for
ended was
sure.
very interesting, though.
I thought it was kind of silly, but I mean, I don't know. That kind of made me laugh. Like I was like, oh, they were both having sex in the bathroom and they just fucking died. Like
Went to
I
a
was like, oh.
public, went to a bar in the middle of a pandemic. Nobody's wearing a mask. Have sex with strangers in the
Yeah, I thought that
bathroom.
was kind of unrealistic too. Like even if it's a quote unquote like
Unfortunately, it's
cop
not.
bar, I was like,
Unfortunately, it's not unrealistic. It's just what's been happening, which is why
mm.
it's December and we're still here.
Yeah, especially in this because this season takes place like at the end of the summer. So like especially at the end of the summer with colleges opening back up, that's definitely like
Yeah, like
well, because I know like
unfortunately, it's incredibly realistic. There's a bar by me. There's a bar by me, like a restaurant bar thing, that all summer had an outdoor patio near the parking lot, which like cool, it was outdoor. Now it's completely enclosed in an entire tent and it still says outdoor patio. I'm like, that is an indoor patio now. You've
well, yeah, that's what they
enclosed it.
claim, but like what they do is they'll put like a vent in there and be like it's ventilated. But yeah, I mean, my school, there was a bar near my college when I was still on campus that had some issues with like partying and things. They got a lot of reports that college kids were like congregating there, which they were, and the bar didn't really do anything about it because they were making money, but the public health department like got involved.
Okay, so
It was kind of bad.
the counterbalance to Carl's storyline of just a shitty way to handle a very controversial situation that these writers do not have the skill or the ability to actually get into, is Lip listening to the black women in his neighborhood going, you cannot increase property value or we will no longer be able to live in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
You can't make your house
Right,
look
I
this
thought that
nice.
was really cool actually.
I feel like
I mean,
the way they handled it at first was a bit like upsetting because it turns out that they were the ones who were like trashing his yard and everything. But like in the long run, I get it and it makes sense and I'm glad that she said something to them. But I feel like why paint them as like the bad people trying to like fuck his house up, like
Right,
break
because
his
it's
windows, dude, break all of like so many of his windows.
because it's like specifically women of color that are doing this, and so it's like I don't know, it just feels kind of like you know, some people would take that as a subliminal message. I will say they did a good job at being at Lip being like, oh wait, no, they're right. Like they weren't necessarily making them a villain. It was just like, oh, they're right.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
conversation at the end was 100% needed and I'm glad they said it. But like, why make them the people literally fucking him up?
Yeah, I didn't like the breaking windows part of it, but like I did fully agree. I like Lip being like, what the fuck? I was just trying to make my house look nice. Cool. Didn't understand the implication. Got it. I'm one of y'all. Let's do this. Like, I really liked that. Like, it was very in character for Lip too. I really.
Yeah, because he did the whole thing where he was like, oh, we should let the neighborhood know like a Gallagher lives here because they have that whole like Gallagher supremacy mentality.
That
and
they
like
think
he's
people
kind of
care about.
He's kind of right though. I mean, they do have a reputation as like a white trash poor family, and yet he's the one who's increasing their property value, and he's like, oh, got it. Remember where you came from,
Yeah.
everybody.
You can make the house livable and make it nice inside, but like, yeah, be respectful with your
Yeah.
neighbors and listen to them. And I really liked Lip's storyline like a lot in this episode. And now to the main event. Ian and
Wait,
Mickey's
no, we still have
Debbie.
Debbie.
Why do we ever need to talk about Debbie?
I don't know. I think Sandy is kind of serving.
Sandy is serving, yes.
I think Sandy's kind of serving. I will say though, like her whole
She's
her whole
selfish.
well, I understand that, but it's also like she is very young. Like, okay, let's be realistic. She's like what, 19
I
years
think she's
old?
19.
Apparently she's 19. No, apparently
Like,
she's 10 months older than 17, but Carl is 19. Apparently
but
Debbie
it
is now
but no
a
no
year
no,
younger.
but it's been a couple months since then, so it's possible that she could be 19 or even 20
But
now.
but Debbie has always been a full year older than Carl. They've just ruined their
Yeah,
ages.
it just doesn't make sense, but either way, she is very young. I can't expect her to be a fully selfless mother, especially since it was like I like that they said like out loud like I never got this growing up, so sometimes I just really want to like make it about me. And her whole rationale with like, oh, Franny's young, like she won't even remember it or whatever. And like yes, because like I understand like that's a very valid feeling for her, but at the same time, Sandy was a good balance of being like, but you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
My one thing I felt about it is that, like, from the get-go, like, we didn't see her talk to Franny, like, about her birthday party, like, before, like, they went shopping and anything. Like, from the get-go, like, all Debbie said was, like, princesses, and so then, obviously, we only saw, like, the reaction from Franny from, like, every other thing, and, like, the only time we ever got, like, some indication that she didn't really care for, like, the princesses is when the bounce house happened, and that was, like, the first, like, thought of that she didn't really care for princesses, and then all of a sudden it escalated that, like, she was like, hell yeah, guns, and then everyone was like, yeah, you did this for yourself, Debbie. And, like, obviously it seemed like it from the get-go, and, like, from the beginning, like, obviously you could tell, like, it was all about her, but, like, it didn't seem like Franny cared until, like, the very end, until they, like, were like, Franny doesn't care about princesses. Like, they had to tell us out loud at the very end.
I mean, and that is very much, like, a thing when you're a young child. Your mom just kind of plans everything for you, and you, like, don't really get a say, and they're gonna move into this new storyline in, like, the last half of the season, which
God, it already seems like a waste of time, and I really hope that it's more of a Black women need to represent this neighborhood situation.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say, because you have that clip of Veronica being like, we want somebody who actually represents the South Side. And so I feel like that might actually be a really good way of like kind of touching on Black Lives Matter and like, but not, obviously they're gonna have to do it through the cop storyline. There's no way they can avoid it. But and just having that be like, no, you don't understand, like, my children need good representation, like, of me saying that. So I think that's going to be like a good, plus then it kind of plays into, like, I guess this whole princess party thing was really just a setup for the rest of the season, because we know that Franny does not want to compete in Little Miss Southside because she doesn't like quote unquote girly things. I will say, seeing Ian in a tiara, what a treat. I think he's so silly.
Sorry, yeah, one storyline that I did skip before we get, because it was only one scene, but before we get into the main event, Liam's scene, amazing. King shit. Take all of Carl's time and give it to Liam.
I think he's the best Gallagher. I'm absolutely obsessed with Christian, the actor who plays him too. I think he's such a cute little dude. Like,
it was just his birthday the other day.
I saw everybody like posted for him. But yeah, I think he's neat.
That storyline of Liam's is fucking remarkable. Like, it was
good kid.
I mean, it really just shows that he's like a true Gallagher.
What were we gonna say?
But he's also better.
No, I was saying, like, the fact that, like, he's, like, taking his own food and going there, and then, like, Lip made it seem like he was, like, selling it to kids, and then when you saw the scene, he was like, just take, he's like, I'm doing trades, and I was like, I love you.
And then when he was confronted, he even stopped trading. He's just like, you know what? These kids deserve better than a bad cheese sandwich.
Yeah, I just think he's so neat. Yeah, and it just, like, shows, like, the true, because, you know, it's, like, the Gallagher scrappiness or whatever, but it's also, like, well, Liam is also better. Liam is also better than the rest of them. Just saying.
Using it for good. Using the Gallagher con man attitude for good.
Exactly.
And, okay, so now on to the main event. Like we said earlier, the family scene in the beginning was fucking amazing.
So good.
Ian, like, I don't make breakfast for husbands who don't have jobs, and you don't get sex unless you get a job. He's like, I don't need your fucking dick anyway.
Everybody's like, ooh.
You know what I love about it? Even though they're fighting and we're not getting, like, cuddly cute Ian and Mickey, it's not end of the world fighting. It's not end of the relationship fighting. It's normal married people bullshit they're fighting about.
Like bickering, yeah.
Not punching each other yet. Like,
we
call that. We'll give me a second. We're almost.
In 1102, they used their words. That's for sure.
That's all we can give them for once.
Their words off screen, I guess, because, like, we don't really
I had to watch Mickey blow up at the construction place, and then we don't get to see them talk about that fucking meltdown later. Like, what? Wow.
She's such a child.
Oh, but before Mickey goes to the interview, the thing that inspires him to actually go to the interview that Ian wants him to go to, he's flipping through the channels, and he is trying to watch, apparently, fucking Riverdale!
He's watching Riverdale!
And for what?
He's watching
so
season 1, I forget the episode. It's Kevin and Joaquin. They're macking out. I think it's at the drive-in. And then, you
And
know
he's
what
like-
Mickey decides to do? He's
Mickey's
like,
like, "I'm
oh,
horny."
hello. And he starts jacking it. And then it cuts the commercial, sadly.
The fact that I didn't know what that was, I thought it might have been the Avon Yoga show, that weird gay
Oh,
space
yeah,
show.
yeah. The apocalypse one.
And I watched it a few hours before Evan watched it, and someone on Twitter pointed out to me that it was Riverdale, and I was like, Evan!
When you told me, I was with a friend of mine, Sebastian, and me and him both liked Shameless, and we both liked Riverdale. And when I tell you, we screamed for like 20 minutes, just like, no way. Like, because it's just like recently, like, everything in my life has been like paralleling each other, or kind of like all becoming one thing. And I was like, the fact that Shameless and Riverdale were the crossover I got. So just that was an interesting thing to do. Also, why was season 1 airing in fucking 2020?
It was,
Oh, and
it was a rerun.
For the audio
was a
listeners,
rerun.
For everybody, the audio listeners, everybody, for their pleasure, Evan is currently wearing a Riverdale sweatshirt as we are having.
It's
this
cold in my
conversation.
house. I'm wearing a Riverdale football sweatshirt. It says Andrews on the back.
So Mickey
You
doesn't
freak.
get to finish jacking off to Riverdale because he gets pretty much guilted into going. It's the little things that Noel Fisher does with his face, the guilt. When the line that was like, you don't want to disappoint everybody that you love, and he feels like he's letting Ian down by not being a good husband and getting a job.
Also,
so
let's
he
talk about that
goes-
jelly that fell on his shirt that he decided to wipe off with a
He
He
is
pillow.
is so embarrassing.
I
Like,
love
I'm
that
like-
man,
I'm like,
but
I-
that was so much jelly. Also, he needs to wash that wife beater. He's wearing that wife beater every single scene
Well, then
this
he was
season, and there's
wearing it-
literally
he
like
was
blood
wearing
on
Wearing
it.
it later.
One at
he
a
was
time.
wearing
One
it-
at a time.
Sorry, he was wearing it later during later when they were in bed, and it still had the goddamn stain on it. I was like, I love you, but you are so embarrassing.
There's a washing machine in the kitchen. Please use it.
And like where their storylines crossed over was Ian, like he was at work, and then Mickey. First of all, I like that they pointed out, like, or in that scene, Mickey did not imply that they were married at all. And like, I want to know, like, the whole conversation Ian was having with his coworker, where they were talking about the people that weren't white men that got to get paid more because they were forklift drivers. The whole time I was like, he's gonna say something homophobic, and Ian's gonna be like, you know, I'm married to a man, right? Like, there's like, I was waiting for the homophobic thing to come out of that man's mouth. But like, that interview scene broke me in half. That interview scene made me so sad because Mickey was trying so hard, and like he got so desperate. He's like, no, I need to make this work. And like, oh, he's just not meant.
At the same time, I feel like the show kind of infantilized him because I'm like, no, he's so much smarter than that. And I
Down
feel like
so fucking much. And
And
like
I'm
that resume.
What I don't get though, like, I understand he was applying there because that Ian is his husband and Ian told him about the job and whatever. The two legal jobs we have seen you have, good sir, have been security and security. Apply to be security. Like, they figure it out apparently later in the
I
season.
completely ignored that he literally worked at a mall last season. Like, he knows how to get a job. Like, he's been able to
Like,
work.
he knows how to be like a regular member of society. He doesn't fucking fly off the handle all the time. Like, he knows how to also, like, I'm thinking about the moving truck scam from season 5. He knows how to act professional.
Also, the absolute balls of stealing a truck and then like, I love the scene where he took the food, nobody even noticed. That was great. Stealing a truck and then driving a stolen truck to a prison was the absolute balls of that man.
Balls the size of Jupiter, but also like
What a man.
so stupid, such an idiot. If I was Ian, I would be like, I'm gonna
And you
divorce
left out the best part. He took that stolen truck back to the quote-unquote Amazon warehouse, stole the dumpster of all the expired goods, then drove it to a prison, somehow got through into the prison. The fact that he was able to pull up right behind the kitchen, how did they just let him through? Like, he was just, hey, like, what?
Let's not try to apply logic. But you know what? He is a motherfuck. That was a display that Mickey doesn't have jobs. Mickey is a job creator. He is a businessman. He's like, oh, they won't pay me money, but like this is good food that someone will pay good money for. And then what's the first thing he does when he gets that money? He buys his niece a birthday present. That's right. No, but like the first thing Mickey does when he gets money is buy his niece a birthday present, which was also a callback. Sandy mentioned when she and Debbie were planning Franny's party that Sandy's birthdays always involved like her cousins or her dad shooting guns or like giving her a gun, and like that probably was the same for Mickey, and he got his niece a gun, and she loved it.
And she called him Uncle Mickey, and he was like, "Yay, guns!" And I was like, "Ah!"
It was so funny when he walked in. He was like, from me, only me. Then he like flipped off Ian. He was like, your favorite uncle.
The absolute spite of that. And then like in their bedroom, in the morning, Mickey's like, I don't need your disgusting dick. At night, it's like, so are we gonna fuck or what? Are we gonna fuck? No.
So you bluffing
No.
or?
Okay.
You know what? You kind of hot, and like throwing the bills. And some people were like trying to start something about how that was disrespectful because of what Ian went through as a dancer. But like, Ian made money as a dancer, and Mickey finds
I
his
did
husband
kind
hot.
of feel that way. I did kind of, well, just a little bit, because I was like, oh, he's just being silly. But because Ian was so pissed off, I was like, you know what? I was like, well, he was really manic at that time in his life. It probably doesn't hold a lot of good memories for him. It's not that deep because Shameless does not get that deep when it comes to continuity. But for me, I was like, I don't know. I mean, at the same time, I don't think it's like worth it to like have a conversation about like, I'm sorry I did that. I just think it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, but did you really have to?
Yeah.
But
Like, if I was Ian, I would be like, you're so annoying. I'm sleeping downstairs.
I feel like they're gonna have that out and like have their words and their apparently fucking fists with each other in about an hour. But
God damn it.
in conclusion, 1102 was really good. Even Frank's storyline was good.
Yeah. And that says something about it. So
That says something, man. We're sorry, everybody, that 1102's minisode has come up late. Like we said, things
we do
happen.
apologize.
Work happens. People get robbed. You know, life happens. But we're all good, and we're all here, and we're all looking forward to 1103 in approximately 1 hour. Also, I made a TikTok that was like talking about the Hall of Shame thing that's gonna start. Which
I'm
is
gonna start barking.
Which is them buying time. It's them buying time to finish the season because they just finished filming episode 8 and they got shut down for a couple of days because of false positive COVID tests. So they're like now behind even more. They're buying time. But the Hall of Shame thing looks good. But if I get one more comment, when and where is it airing? Google is free.
Google is free.
But for the listeners who don't know, where is the Hall of Shame going to be uploaded? Or
Hall of Shame is going to air on Showtime on Sundays during Shameless's regular airtime instead of an episode of Shameless. They're going to be interspersed throughout the rest of the season starting December 27th so that they can buy time to finish shooting and editing the season.
Gotcha.
But I also think they would have done that anyway as like a send-off.
Yeah.
Because it's the last season. I just like...
Is it basically like a clip show?
I think it's a
No.
combination of, you know, the little clips that we've gotten of in promos of like two of the actors sitting on a couch saying something about one of the characters, like that looked like they shot it when they were shooting the promo scenes. I think they did interviews with them about their characters that they're going to intercut. Like the first one is about Ian and Mickey, so it's going to be intercutting around scenes showing us the evolution of their relationship. Maybe some deleted scenes we've never seen
They
before.
did say some never before or deleted scenes will be in there.
But I wonder if it's deleted scenes that we've seen or deleted scenes that they didn't even give us.
I mean, I feel like it might be ones that they didn't even give us.
I want that scene that we got photos of them outside the clinic after Ian gets his pills, after the 30 to 40 years conversation. I want that
Where is it?
scene.
Give it to
Where
me.
is it?
Give it to
Give
me.
it to me.
So that was our very sloppy recap of 1102. We're sorry it took so long. We're going to watch 1103 later. We'll plug all of our things. All of our Instagrams are going to be at the bottom of this bio. Let's just get the fuck out of here.
Yep.
And listen to the regular episode whenever it goes up. Okay, thanks everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.